Hey, inspired writers. All right, this is my first live on YouTube. We'll see how this goes. But I really wanted to jump in here because I was inspired by this thought. We're back to school time, and it's easy for me to get. I'm starting to feel like, oh my goodness, how am I? This is going to mess with my schedule. Like I got to adjust again to schedule and how to be a writer who's also the dad and the husband and the full-time job. So how do you juggle life to make all of this make sense? And I started to kind of coach myself around how back to school is change for everybody in the family. We have a lot of kids, so everybody's going through change. Everybody's going through this modification, and any change is an opportunity to implement something new. So for example, if you're going to move from one house to another, you start taking stock of, do I really need this thing? Do I really need to bring this thing with me into this new place? So back to school time, we can take stock and say, do I really need this thing? Oh, new clothes. This thing doesn't fit me. This backpack or this calculator or whatever, this old notebook, these things aren't going to serve me well going into this new season. So back to school time is a time to take stock. And because I was being challenged into like, I need to retract, I need to take things away. And that's a wrong way. That's a small-minded way to think about it, especially for an inspired writer where we co-labor with the Holy Spirit. So we have this whole resource of heaven at our back. And I really started to think about, from that perspective, from a heaven perspective, the opportunities that I'm missing out on. That if I start taking back, I'm actually not just like trying to save myself or trying to make my life easier. I'm actually missing out on greater possibility. So I just wanted to take a moment here to just like back to school season, thinking about being a writer, and let's just go live and say it now, not try and get too elaborate and on these things. So I spent years, and see, this is like the motivation of the pain of like, why would I want to talk about this now? I've spent years, like decades, literally just thinking about, wishing, shoulda, woulda, coulda, sitting on the outside going, oh, someday I could do that. Oh, someday I could be a writer like that. Someday I could tell a story that's going to be like that. And I would, to kind of mollify that desire in me, I would try and learn from what other people have done. And I would tell myself, well, I just need to learn. I'm just going to learn more. I don't know enough about what's going on. And that's really what I was doing, is I was making excuses, and I'm to stay on the sideline as opposed to actually getting into the game, actually getting into the process. So one of the things that I've done differently is I've learned to, in this new season, to speak words of life over myself, to speak truth over myself. Because if you don't, so one word of truth that I'm speaking over myself now is that I'm good soil. Okay, so the parable is that the kingdom, the farmer goes and the seed falls on different kinds of soil. Well, to speak over myself that I'm good soil, and I can't expect to get 100-fold return or 60-fold return or even 30-fold return if I don't give God something to water. I've got to put something out there for him to partner with. So how does this fit into the back to school? It's that idea of, okay, here's an opportunity to make a change, to make a positive change, to say I'm good soil and I'm worth it. So for me, practically speaking, and I've already been getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but now our kids' schedules have changed. The bus schedule has changed. And so I now have to get up even a little bit earlier to still try and get in an hour of writing time, which is fine. I'm going to adjust. So now I can think of other ways. Well, now I'm putting in a little bit more time in the morning. That frees up time in the afternoon that I could come back, because now the kids leave earlier. They get home a little bit later. But this other new idea about back to school is maybe I can adjust and make this fun. While they're doing homework, I can do my homework and I can sit right alongside them. So that's not, like for me, like that's not a perspective that I've applied to myself. I've always thought I've got to get away, or I've got to make this fit into a new spot. So new beginning, new habit. So just real basic, simple thought. And I wanted to jump on here real quick and talk about it. So now it's your turn. So make one simple change. Take a look at this new season. You're taking stock, especially as a busy parent, as many of us are in this group are, people watching this might be. Um, try that. Speaking words of life is actually something that's a culture in our house. My wife actually wrote a book about it. She was a classroom teacher and she wrote about how do you speak words of life in a classroom setting? How do you do this with your kids? How do we do this with, we try and do this with our kids. If you're interested in checking that out, I put the link. She just recently got that posted on Amazon and I'm really excited about that. So the link to that is in there. But mostly I just want you to take action. Take one thing, make a change, and then please tell me about it. Make a comment here in the video, subscribe to the video, put the notifications on, right? So comment, subscribe, notify. And then there's other ways that I'm happy to connect. I'd love to connect: Facebook, Twitter, those kinds of things. So change is in the air, right? So let's take advantage of that. So one simple change, back to school, is also an opportunity to start something or to restart something that maybe we have set aside. So have fun with that, inspired riders, and God bless on the rest of your day.